welcome to the middle of nowhere. A few weeks ago I put together about a $450 entry-level budget build computer that can serve as a home office computer as well as do some light 1080p gaming. Well, all the parts have arrived, so let's get to building. Well, it's been a few weeks since I completed the build of this PC, installed Windows, and played some games on it. And so now I just want to kind of go over three things, and that is the build process, installing Windows, setting the XMP profile, updating the BIOS, and then thirdly, the test results of the games that I played. With regards to the build process, this couldn't have been easier. There was very few hiccups, and really the only bumps that came along the road had to do with the CPU cooler itself. First off, there were some particles on the pre-applied thermal paste when I took the CPU cooler out of the box, and I just didn't feel very comfortable using it as it was. So I grabbed some Arctic Silver 5 paste that I had, cleaned out the CPU cooler, applied that to the CPU, and then installed from there. The second bump that came with the CPU cooler was the orientation of the AMD logo. You'll notice here it's facing the top. Well, by default, depending on how you orient it, it's either going to face towards the rear I/O or by your RAM. In order to orient it the way I wanted it to, which is to give it a clean look and have it being up at the top, I had to go ahead and take the plastic shroud off, remove 4 screws, reorient the rest of the plastic shroud, put those screws back in, and then install the main shroud with the logo. Now this took maybe all of 5-10 minutes, but honestly it should have taken less time than that. AMD revised how that shroud is installed. Don't require screws to be undone and reinstalled. Instead, just have it so that we have to take it off, rotate it, and put it back on. I think that would make a lot of customers happy, especially those who might not be so tech savvy, but do have the OCD that I have and want that logo facing to the top. Because the motherboard is an M.A.T.X form factor, I did have to remove a couple extraneous motherboard standoffs and reposition some as well. Luckily, they weren't overly tightened when they were installed, and so removing and repositioning was really quite easy. I just had to, kind of eyeball where I needed to go by pre-installing the motherboard, not fully, but just, positioning it where I needed to, and going from there. When it came to installing the hard drives, I have a couple of issues that came along when I was installing them. The first is mostly aesthetic and has nothing to do with any manufacturing issue or anything like that. And that is, when I installed the SSD up front to show it off, the logo's upside down. And really, this is nobody's fault. Now I can go ahead and fix this by taking a heat gun and on a low setting, going ahead and applying the heat to the logo so that it comes off, and then I just rotate it and reinstall, and we're good to go. Now the second issue I had to do with the 3.5-inch drive installation, and I do believe this is more valid. The drive caddy that comes with this case allows for truly toolless installation, as each caddy has these little nubbins that allows for the 3.5-inch hard drive to be installed without any screws whatsoever. However, these same nubbins also make installing the hard drive into the caddy very difficult. And even though they were there, I still ended up using screws anyway, just to make sure that it is fully secure and installed. So I guess my only remedy for this is probably just get rid of the nubbins and allow for using the screws to install the hard drive. It's rare that a case at this price point comes with 1 fan, let alone 3 fans, as the Grace Mesh does. Unfortunately, all 3 of those fans were powered by Molex, and were also very loud. So I went ahead and replaced the 3 fans, the back one with a 120mm PWM fan by Arctic, and I had 2 140mm fans by Sigmatech lying about that also have white LEDs. Now they are kind of old school, I guess, or dated because they're clear framed, but hey, at least all 3 fans together are quieter than the stock fans on the case. When it comes to installing the tempered side glass panel, on this case, Enermax could have opted for a more simple solution. It's really just 1 glass panel with 4 holes in it and 4 thumb screws, and that's it. There's no lip at the bottom of the case to catch the glass, and there's no black border along the glass to hide the actual frame of the case itself. Because of this lack of lip, it can be kind of cumbersome to install, so my advice to you would be to put the case on its side and install from there. Windows installation was as easy as could be. It was as simple as inserting the thumb drive, going through the promotions, and installing Windows, and bada boom bada bing, letting it update for a few hours because it's an older installation. Done. When it came to setting the XMP profile, just spam that delete key to get to the BIOS and go to the XMP settings, and as there was only 1 setting for me, I just applied that and had absolutely no issues whatsoever. When it came to updating the BIOS, I opted to use Gigabyte's @BIOS software. This allows you to update the BIOS within the Windows environment, and it was actually really easy. All I had to do was download the current BIOS or BIOSes if I had to kind of do a step ladder implementation, which I did, and use the software to find the file and install from there. About 5 to 10 minutes per file, and the BIOS updated easily. The only thing I had to do was go back into it to set the XMP profile again for my RAM speed. So how does this $400 budget build operate? How does it work? How does it perform? In a word, for me, great. Websites and programs launch rather quickly, and when watching YouTube videos, there was no hitching or stuttering whatsoever. When it came to playing games, I can say this is not an 1080p powerhouse. There are a variety of games I tested, both very CPU heavy or GPU heavy, as well as some more casual games. Here's a list of games that I tested. While I did focus on mostly the FPS, minimums, maximums, averages, etc., some of you might not feel this is the most comprehensive test, and well, it's not. I really just wanted to focus on performance and how well the playing experience was. If you have any suggestions on what I should include in future benchmarks, please let me know, such as temperatures, CPU usage, etc. I'm very malleable in this area. Speaking of temperatures, when I did pay attention to them, nothing ever forced this to go above 65 degrees, which is pretty good in my opinion. Overall, from the games that I did test, CSGO and Rocket League were the best performers, and when it came to Fortnite, that had probably the most dramatic shift, I would say, from when I changed settings from medium to low in terms of playability. Unfortunately, when I did go to low, the game played butt, and while it was playable, it was certainly very ugly. Honestly, I'd probably have to say I'd have to lower the resolution to 720p if I wanted to maintain some of the more nicer graphical settings. When I said to pick and purchase the parts for this PC, I had a few goals in mind. One, make an affordable PC that could be used for home and schoolwork that could also play a variety of games at 1080p. Two, have a clear upgrade path, one that didn't require me to replace everything. Obviously, getting a discrete GPU is top priority for this. And then finally, three, have a decent gaming experience at 1080p without really having to dip into 720p or sacrifice all the settings. Obviously, I would say this succeeded at a 2.5. It was affordable, there's a distinct upgrade path that does not require me to replace everything. But third, the gaming experience, while enjoyable for some games like CSGO and Rocket League, definitely isn't going to play any AAA games, at least at high settings. Unless you can get a good playing experience of Tomb Raider at 24 frames a second, I just don't think that this machine, as it is, can handle it. Introduce the GPU, and we'll see what happens then. But really, the lack of hyper-threading might also come into play as more and more games start supporting multi-threading and multiple cores. As it stands now, though, because a lot of them don't, I think getting at that discrete GPU will help you in the long run. I guess that's it, just the closing time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, put those in the comments down below. I'm Seth, and I'll see you next time in the middle of